What's going on? Today we have a 2018 Cadillac Escalade that we're doing brake pads on. I already took the wheels off because I wanted to look at them first and make sure they need them. But the tools you're going to need is a ratchet of some sort, 3/4 socket, and something to hold up your calipers. So first up, and wherever I put it, you need a screwdriver. So first, you're going to want to open your brake fluid reservoir. Here's the screwdriver, I found it. And you're going to want to reach in here and pry back your caliper. Now you can do this on any vehicle, but you want to pry back your caliper to make sure your pins are free and you're able to get the caliper off of your brake pads. So I don't know if you can see, but let's see. Brake pads are pretty close to being gone, so that's why we're replacing them. So we pried that off. Now we want to take our 3/4 socket and take off your slide bolts. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, I got the slide bolts out and now our caliper is free. You want to take your hanger, I always hook it up top, and pull off your caliper and find somewhere to hang it that won't get caught on anything or pinch your brake line. Okay, so that I just hung it on the control arm. So that's out of our way. Now we can easily, now something to observe is this pad has more life than this one, so something might have happened here where it was sticking and might have been sliding differently and wearing the inside pad more than the outside pad. So that's why we're replacing the inside. So you want to take off your pads, obviously. Hard to do with one hand, but take our screwdriver. Take off our pads, set them to the side. Obviously you can see that one has less than this one. So those are out of the way. And now they're off. Now we can take off our hardware because the new pads we're gonna get come with new hardware. And that's it for removal. So next we're going to take a wire brush and clean up our surfaces. Alright, I got my wire brush and we're going to start scraping all the rust and the gunk out of the area as best as we can and try to get all the debris out so it's nice and smooth. I'll get back when I do that to all 4 areas where your hardware sits. You should just throw. Okay, I got all the areas cleaned off. Now we want to focus in on our slide bolts. These are what help move the caliper in and out. These, if you don't take care of them, can rust and then seize your caliper and make it wear unevenly like how these pads were. So we're gonna pull it out. It does have grease on it, but it's really dirty. So we're gonna clean this off and reapply it with brake grease. when we do the install. So we take that off. There's a bottom one. Take that out. This one has grease too. This one's a little patchy. I'm not really sure, but we're gonna do the same thing with that. And now we do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, you're gonna want to do the same thing on the other side. Use your screwdriver to pry back the caliper. Take off the bolts. Take it off. Hang it up. Take your pads off and clean the surface and take your slide pins out. Okay, so we're gonna stick our screwdriver in there, feel it catch the rotor, pry it back. Same thing on the bottom. Feel it pry back. Make sure it's loose. So you can see that. Take our 3/4 socket with our whatever wrench. I gotta scooch forward so I can use my knee. Okay, we're gonna put our wrench on there, break it free. Same thing on the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I can't get it with one hand, but loosen that and then we'll move on. Okay, I got the 2 bolts out. Now we want to take our little hanger, slide it in, take your caliper off, and hang up your caliper. Just like so. Now we want to, once again, these we're wearing uneven too, as you can see. So we're going to replace them. Screwdriver. There it goes. Back ones come right off. Take your hardware off. Take your slide pins out. This one's still got quite a bit of grease on it. Bottom one was starting to get dry at the end. And now we're going to take our brush, clean off all the debris. And then once I do that, we're ready for install. Alright, I went ahead, picked up my new brake pads, some brake parts, lube, some brake lube, ceramic brake lube. That stuff's nice. I use it all the time. Alright, so we got our hardware. We want to take 2 of them out. It doesn't really matter which go on which. We're going to want to snap it into place. 1 second. Needs both hands. To clip it in. And once you get it clipped in, it will stay there. And then you do the top side. Then we'll move on. Okay, so I got them both clipped in. Now we want to take our brake lube, purple brake lube, nice brake lube, and little dab it in there. That's a lot, but spread it all around. Make sure to get the backside, up top, this side. And then I always take my finger to make sure all of it gets lube. Try to get as little as you can on the rotor, as it will could grease up your pads and make them squeak and whatnot. But I'm gonna do that, make sure it's all covered with lube, and we'll get it to installing the brake pads. Alright, so I opened up the package of my CarQuest Premium Gold brake pads. Comes with pads and hardware, and these are actually really nice. They're labeled like outer outer, left hand inner, or right hand inner. So I'm on the passenger side, so obviously that's your right hand. So we're gonna go ahead, take these, slide them right in here. I'm gonna get that to slide in there with two hands, so I'll be right back. Okay, I got the inner side in. Now we're gonna take the one that says outer and do the exact same thing on the outside, which, as it should, just slide right in there. Make sure they're snug, not going anywhere. Then I need to grab my brake caliper tool, but we need to compress the piston, because the old pads like this one are obviously a lot less pad, so the caliper is used to this size pad and it would not fit on the new pad. So let me go grab my tool and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I got my tool, and it's hard to do with one hand, but so I did it already. But you want to put your old pad on there, and then I have this caliper tool. You can use a C-clamp and clamp it from the pad to here. I bought this off of Amazon. It was like 20 bucks. I'll leave the link in description. But and you just want to get it tight in there and just start tightening it as a ratchet. Well, I'm going the wrong way, but I'll do it. I'll show you once I get done with it. Okay, I got the caliper all the way compressed in. As you can see, it's hard to do with one hand, sorry. Yeah. Working to get a tripod for my GoPro here. But now we're gonna place the caliper onto the pads. But first, before we put it all the way on, we need to take our slide bolts, which are already pre-lubed, and take your caliper off a little bit. Slide your pins in right through here. Twist them a little bit. Make sure they're free. I gotta move the caliper real quick. Okay. And then same with the bottom. Make sure you twist and push and make sure they're in there. Make sure they're freed up. Like so. And then you can put your caliper on, which, since it's all compressed in, it should slide right over. Like so. You might have to compress the slide bolt a little bit for it to go over it, but it should just slide right on. Which then you take your bolts that we took off with our 3/4 socket, and you should be able to line it up and start threading these into. It might take a little give to get it lined up, which I'll get it lined up and start screwing them in. Okay, I got the bolts starting to thread. We're gonna take our ratchet and start screwing it in, just like so. Once it's tight, snug it up a little bit more. Same with the bottom, just like so. Snug it up. Now, before you drive off, you make sure to compress your brake pedal, push it down a couple times, make sure it's firm, because this is still loose, and driving away you won't have brakes. They will not work unless you push the pedal a couple times. And once you make sure it's all free, you're done with this side, and we can move back to the other side. Okay, we're on the other side. I already put in the hardware. Now we're gonna take our purple lube it all up. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Lube all over. Lube is your friend, so make it useful. all up there. Okay. Take your finger, make sure it's all looped, all the loop. Make sure to try to not get it on the rotor. Okay. Next, we're gonna take our new brake pads, which this side has left-hand inner, as you can see. So we're gonna go ahead, install these like so, all the way in. Make sure it's all the way in and touching. Then we take our other new one, which is the outer, which is on the outer side, not out hand. Make sure it's in there. Next, I'm gonna compress our caliper, which I'm gonna do off camera because it's hard with one hand. So I'll be right back. Okay, I just took the time and compressed your caliper. Now you want to take your slide pins and insert them where they go. Make sure it's free. Take your other one, put it on the bottom, just like so. Make sure it's free, and then you're ready to install your caliper. So I'm gonna put it on real quick. Got the top almost in. I'm gonna get the bottom, and then we can start installing the bolts on the top and bottom.